Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at an Eastern Pacific storm. I usually don't do them a lot, but when they do, when they are expected to make landfall on land areas, I will make an update for them. Don't worry, I will post an update on potential tropical cyclone 3 in the Gulf of Mexico in about an hour or so after this one, and I will start a live stream for the landfall of both of them, which could happen at about the same time. So we'll look at that. But first off, I'm going to be giving you guys an update on Dolores, as it could make a hurricane landfall in Mexico, which could be devastating for the area. So I'll have an update on this because this could be a pretty bad storm for the area, and it could be pretty bad to say the least. So we're definitely going to have a quick look on the situation with this system. Alrighty, so first of all, I do want to say that this has formed pretty quickly, and it has basically formed from potential tropical cyclone 3. As potential tropical cyclone 3 was right here, a lot of that clouds and moisture came back into the Eastern Pacific, which really helped pop up Dolores. So right now it has 40-mile-per-hour winds, and we do have the cone for the storm. And as you can see, there's a tropical storm warning, and a hurricane watch for the coast of Mexico. As you can see right here, this area right here. If you guys are in this circle right here, that's anywhere from, pretty much this entire area. If any of you guys live here, you could be getting hurricane force winds from the system. Now, right now, 40-mile-per-hour winds is going to be intensifying fairly quickly. But by the 7 p.m. Saturday update, National Hurricane Center has it as a fairly strong system, 25 to 70 miles per hour at the moment, based on the latest advisory. And either way, whether this does intensify into a hurricane or not, you're going to be getting very similar conditions, whether it does become a hurricane or not. You're going to be getting lots of rainfall, obviously, lots of winds, and lots of storm surge, especially for people south of that as the storm moves in. All of you guys here are going to be getting some very big storm surge if you do live in this area. And then obviously this is going to be moved north, bringing impacts all farther inland in this general area right here. Now, right now, as I said, the National Hurricane Center has a 70-mile-per-hour landfall, and then it does continue, obviously, like I said, moving over Mexico. So they do have that as a 70-mile-per-hour landfall at the moment. Now, we're going to be taking a look at what the storm looks like right now. It's a typical, really a typical Eastern Pacific storm. It's very big, very broad and big, a little messy, but let's look at the spaghetti models. And like I was saying, we have very similar situation here. This is, our cone right here. Some models take it inland in about 24 hours. Some models take it inland about 48 hours. And then some models take it inland earlier, and some models just skim the coast. Now, the worst case scenario really with this storm is if it took that blue route right here, where it skimmed the coast the entire time, because that would allow the storm to intensify further while still bringing some very big impacts to a more widespread area. The best case scenario really would be that yellow area, as it wouldn't have really time to become a hurricane. It would fall apart over Mexico pretty quickly. We do have the chance also for this to continue a little farther and make landfall farther, which could be pretty bad. But right now, the biggest possibility is something a little like my line that I just did right here, or a little farther inland like this is what we're looking at the moment. Now we're about to look at the models for the storm and how this could be affecting Mexico and the area. So let's look at the model guidance for this storm. Alrighty, so as you can see, this is right now. Again, it's a pretty widespread and organized system. It's a very big, messy storm at the moment with already pretty big. But this is the latest GFS run, and they have a 996 millibar landfall. And again, you can see that rainfall spreading very far inland with this model run. And it is a fairly strong storm. It could become a hurricane, and then the GFS does have to dissipate over land very quickly, because we do have to remember that there's some very tall mountains over Mexico, especially this area. So if it does move a little too much inland, it will completely dissipate very fast, still giving some rainfall. National Hurricane Center does still have a tropical storm by over here, but National Hurricane Center or GFS is not going with that. if we look at the moisture with this storm, you're going to see that we have some pretty good conditions with this. Not too much dry air in the area, and some very good conditions for the storm to intensify further. And then 850 millibar wind. So they really don't. The GFS doesn't show a very strong storm at all. A 50 mile per hour storm, nothing higher than that. If we look at the European model, they have an even weaker storm at 994 millibar, which is rather interesting because the conditions are really right for the storm to intensify. And the CMC has an even weaker storm at 999 millibar. NavJam has an even weaker storm at 999 millibar also. The Icon has a even weaker storm at like 997, 1000 millibar, barely a tropical storm. And then the GMA has basically nothing. So this is obviously really interesting because I don't think the models are taking into consideration the very good, very good conditions that we have for the storm right now. If we look at the wind shear, we have very low wind shear whatsoever, and even the vorticity is very good with the storm right now. As you can see, it's going to be getting lots of vorticity, and you can see a potential tropical cyclone 3 up there, also making its way northward. But what I do also want to take a quick look at is the total rainfall, which could be pretty bad with this storm. As you can see in a couple of minutes, look at how much rainfall we could be seeing with this. Obviously, this is really what the storm's going to bring, about this much rainfall here. And then, so lots of rainfall on the Mexican coast right here. As I was saying, I mean, this is upwards to look at that. This is upwards to 12, even 20 inches in isolated areas. And that continues to increase as we go on, where you guys could be getting up to 24 inches in some areas, and then it does track northward here, and you can see that path of rain here continuing on the GFS run. I'll have more update on the storm as we get closer to landfall, and I will have a special landfall live stream.